Time once again to talk to our good friends who join us from the Aglet Theater Company. And with us today we have Tom Gruenewald. Tom, nice to have you on board with us today.
Good to be with you, Marshall, as always.
As always, we always speak about many different topics, but always favor to talk about what's going on at the Aglet Theater Company. And you do have another production coming up on October 20th.
Correct.
And this is a pretty interesting, and it's a fairly new, I think, if not heard of, play, and that is Edward Albee's The Occupant, because I know that it's funny. I read news stories on this. It was going to be premiered back in 2002, and Anne Bancroft got sick with pneumonia, so it was delayed, and it didn't really open up until 2008 when Mercedes Ruehl was in that. So this is a fairly new production for you to be actually dealing with.
Well, cutting edge always, Aglet.
So let's talk a little bit about the play itself and where it goes.
It happens that it's about Louise Nevelson, the sculptor. A lot of people know who she was. Extraordinary large pieces, constructions, wood, painted black sometimes, painted white sometimes, painted gold sometimes. And it's a classic, her life story is a classic American emigre's story. I mean, she was born in Russia. She came over as a 6-year-old. They lived in Rockland, Maine, of all places. And she finally had to escape Rockland, Maine, and got to New York when she was about 20 and married a wealthy man. And her life had many ups and downs, and that's what the play deals with. Albee was a good friend of hers. Albee had a play which I saw many years ago called Tiny Alice, and Albee said that Louise Nevelson was the only person who understood his play. And I think that made their friendship quite a fast one, as it were.
What I find interesting about this play, it's done more of an interview. It's more like an interview, right?
Yeah, and it's a posthumous interview. She's dead at the time of the interview, and there's a little bit of insecurity because the interviewer, who's called the man, said, "I never interviewed a dead person." She said, "Well, I have never been interviewed since I was dead." So they were on the same page there. And Lori Lyle. Do you know Lori Lyle?
I know Lori Lyle very well, Fred.
Okay. Well, Lori Lyle wrote a biography of Louise Nevelson called A Passionate Life. And Lori tells me that when she saw the play, she saw Occupant when it was done, she said, well, it was clear to her that the man is Albee, trying to get his good friend Louise Nevelson to spill all, tell all. And Lori's going to be with us for the talk back.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's always a feature with the different plays that Aglet does. If you're not familiar, is that after the production, there's a give and take. There's questions, there's answers, there's observations on everybody's side. I guess this play, I haven't seen the play. I've only read about it, but it obviously deals with reality and illusion. Things going back and forth that way.
Well, a lot of it is very much in Albee's ballpark, as it were. And some of the anger and some of the bitter humor is very Albee, if we know Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and the Zoo Story.
Now, who do you have performing in this?
Well, Louise Nevelson will be played by Joanna Seton.
Okay.
And the man is Andrew Jaffe, both loyal and long-time Aglet actors.
Now, once again, this is coming up at the Aglet Theater Company on October the 20th, and this is going to be at Dewey Hall in Sheffield.
Dewey Hall, right.
And what time is the show?
There are 2 performances on the 20th, one at 3:30 and one at 7:30. And the house opens a half hour before, i.e. 3 and 7, for the usual wine and cheese.
All right, and if people want tickets or more information, 860-435-6928.
Yes.
You can also get more information at aglettheater.net, but 860-435-6928. Now, what's interesting about this, and let's see if you agree with this, I did some reading up on the play, and I looked at one review from the New York Times. And we're talking about, by the way, folks, The Occupant being put on by Aglet Theater Company. New York Times wrote about the original production of, here's the quote here, quote, a conversational flow that quickly carries you past fears of being trapped in a lecture hall, end quote.
We hope that's true, and we're certainly working from that point of view. Shall I mention a personal thing? I met Louise Nevelson.
Wow.
She was a good friend of an ex-stepmother-in-law of mine. We don't have to go into that. Who was a sculptor and lived in Nyack. And my then wife and I went to see her father and stepmother in Nyack. And Louise Nevelson was there. And I have a very strong recollection of a rather grand lady who was a tough babe underneath, and you never knew which way it was going to be. Was she going to be tough babe, or was she going to be grand? It was a fascinating afternoon that we spent with her.
Well, Tom, it's interesting, and once again, another great selection of a production that you probably won't see anywhere else within a 50-mile radius of this area. The great thing that Aglet Theater does. Edward Albee's The Occupant, October 20th at, of course, Dewey Hall, 860-435-6928. Now, I have to ask you this. You must be the boss man on this show. I mean, you're obviously the director, the producer, everything here.
Yeah. Yep. And I also came up with the script.
Okay. You would have been a good person to be the person interviewing.
Yeah, but I have to direct.
That's right. Well, anyways, once again, 2 shows on the 20th, 3:30 and 7:30. Doors open at 3 and 7. There's a normal wine and cheese and everything like that. And then afterwards, you talk about the play, the performance. Once again, for tickets and more information, aglettheater.net on the web, and 860-435-6928.
And remember that we have Lori Lyle, Nevelson's biographer, with us.
There you go. All right. Well, I break a leg, as they say in the business, Tom, and obviously I'll be speaking to you either about Aglet Theater Company or the Taconic Learning Center within the next month or two.
I guess so. Okay. Thank you so much, Marshall.
Take care, Tom.
Bye.